Hello, welcome to January 16th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is something that I do every day just after waking up. It's now 4:43 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives, take a deliberate effort to remember these, and also to reflect on the last 24 hours to see how I did dealing with the obstacles and the opportunities that I met, including my sleep, and also to plan for the coming day. Let's begin. And good morning, Parker. First, last night and yesterday. I slept pretty good last night. I did get up just a few times. I got to bed on time. I got up just a few times through the night, not worrying about anything in particular, just waking up, which is all right. I don't feel necessarily particularly rested this morning, but I think it'll do the job. I've got the day off, so I plan to go and do some exercise first thing in the morning at the beach, which always does wonders for everything. As for opportunities and challenges yesterday, there weren't really too many challenges, although I did worry a bit about how I'm going to get my motorcycle today from outside the front of the house to Lior's moto riding Corona. I think I'll use a tow truck service to do that. I'll need to coordinate with Lior. I want to check for a good weather window when it's clear. Opportunities? Oh boy, I saw the opportunity yesterday to really use the script writing principle to help me to get through a shopping opportunity, which I've never been a fan of shopping, but I needed to get some clothes for the trip to Japan, and Yumiko, of course, is really good at that, and she offered to help me, and I availed myself of that opportunity, and I script wrote my way through it so that I did a great job at the mall. I mean, patient, calm, selecting items, even having fun. And I would attribute that directly to the fact that I was forecasting as I went as we drove to the mall, as I was entering the mall and during the mall. I was forecasting in my head script writing, as I like to say, just ahead of each moment, how it was going to go. It really works. Pardon me, I'm coughing right into the microphone. Otherwise, pretty average day yesterday. It was a great day. I mean, so it wasn't average in terms of mood and everything like that. Yesterday was really a fun and worthwhile day. All right, let's do the good life. These 7 objectives in 34 principles are described in pretty good detail, not elaborate detail, but they're described in my book, Going Alone, in a chapter called The Good Life. That's why I call this the Good Life Creed, which is a nod to the Stoics. This creed is the result of my effort to decide how I was going to make a good life out of a universe without God. So if God doesn't exist and we're basically on our own to live well, then what will I do about that? How will I choose to go about living my days in such a way that my life is worthwhile? A life of virtue, where I define virtue as improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures in particular. I try to improve the well-being of everybody, thinking or unthinking, but in particular thinking creatures. So this is what I've done. And you can find my book if you want on Amazon. You can get it from bookstores. You can sometimes buy it from my website when I have the resources to do the signing activity. Because when you buy it from the website, I sign it and illustrate it before sending it off to you. And right now I'm backlogged. In fact, orders should be arriving today. I should be able to start catching up on the shipments today, and then I can open up the store again after I get back from Japan. My wife and I are going to Japan next month for about a week, 9 days actually, to look for a community to live in the future. All right, let's begin. First, my 7 objectives. These are as follows. My first objective is to be always ready to die. This means that I need to have my life affairs in order, my personal relationships in order, and my life's work in order. It doesn't mean that these things need to be complete, just simply in order. So that if I die, I've left my affairs, my papers are not scattered, my relationships are not scattered, nor my life's work. My life's work, that's why I keep it here. One of the reasons I keep it here on the shelf. It's right there for Emily to find. Dad's life work is sitting right there. My second objective is to make good and effective use of my days, to not waste my time in this brief life. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life objectives and principles. That's largely what this exercise is for. By remembering each of my objectives and each of my principles, reflecting on them to a greater or lesser degree, I'm tinkering and maintaining my creed. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who is calm and collected and who does not fly off the handle. And more that's the case. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. Like yesterday, I ran 2 miles on the beach from 17th Street, roughly, to the pier. And on the way back, there was a piece of luggage that the ocean had chucked up on the sea, on the shore. So I drug it out of the sea and to a local trash can that was on the beach, deposited it. Just a little good deed, but it was kind of something out of a movie, pulling a suitcase that the ocean had just washed onto the shore out of the waves. Funny that. It was a nice suitcase, and I need a suitcase to go to Japan, and I was this tempted to take it home. But I could foresee how that would end. Full of sand and all, but it's kind of an interesting idea. I wonder if it's still there. Okay, next is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I don't reach for things that are beyond my grasp and that I attend to things that are within reach. My last objective is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully with measured effort and tones. Now, my 34 principles. These are as follows. Number 1 is the principle of war, a martial principle, a principle reminding me to be at war at all times with everything that I hold and believe is true, and to use the same approach with any proposition that comes to me that I either want to believe is true or someone proposes I should believe is true. The second principle is reason, which has 4 sub-principles: honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. Reason is the instrument, the tool, the weapon even, that I use in the aforementioned war. To use it well, I have to be honest with myself and others, objective in my view, a fierce skeptic, and willing to embrace the humiliation of being shown that I'm wrong, so that I can offload ideas that I'm believing, or that I'm interested in believing, without any further ado. It's tempting to hold on to untruth because it's familiar and makes us comfortable. It's funny how untruth can do that. Next is the homunculus, my label for the consciousness that seems to reside in my head, just behind my forehead here. It's where it feels like it is. And then my next principle is called the anchor hold, which is a further building on the homunculus to remind myself that my consciousness is trapped within my head. I can't get out, no soul, and will die with me. Next comes the home of good and evil. I don't believe that there's any absolute right or wrong in the universe. The closest thing that there comes to that is seemingly the mandate that exists within each of us as biological organisms to reproduce. It seems to be a driving element, but I don't think it's certainly not universal. It's just an artifact of life as we know it. Without absolute right and wrong, then that means it's up to us to determine what constitutes good and evil and right and wrong. And we have to work hard at that. And we do. I do. I try to do. Next comes the principle of purpose. It's good to have a purpose in life. It gives us something to strive for and a reason to be. My 3 purpose are: 1, to be a good husband and father. I call that the sub-principle of biology. 2, the sub-principle of virtue, striving to be a virtuous man, as I described before. 3, the sub-principle of mission, having some mission in life that I choose and that I strive for. My mission is the sharing of the Good Life Creed, a personal philosophy that I've developed that really does work. Number 7, I think this is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. So too, you and me. Then comes the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has some particular nature, some way that we are, and it's good to recognize how that is so that we can abide and live in accord with that. Then comes the pirate ride. I don't think free will is a thing. I don't think we're free. I think we are compatible with the universe and jostled around like that piece of luggage jostled in the sea, getting spun up on the shore. That's us. We just think that we're free. I can't prove this. I hold this on faith. It's a sin, I know, but I do it nonetheless. I'm convinced. For no good reason. Next comes maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Maturity is that state that we arrive in when we're wise about our experiences in the past. We remember them well. We have the fortitude to avoid our mistakes and repeat our successes. And then we can enjoy the integrity of a life that's in accord with our experience and values, our wisdom, our maturity, so to speak. Next comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other. The sub-principles here are diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. Diplomacy being the technique that we use to work together to agree on worthwhile ends. Justice being that worthwhile end, or one of them, one of the main ones. And the conspiracy is what we do when we link arms towards those aims. Next comes the principle of family. It's good to create a family for ourselves. It doesn't have to be a nuclear family like we describe. A mom and dad necessarily related by a wedding ring, bound by marriage, and creating a family. You can create all kinds of families, but it's good to have a family. Then comes the principle of public speaking. It's a reminder to learn to listen well and speak well. And the sub-principles here are best words, developing a rich and deep vocabulary and then using that vocabulary well. Not in a showy way or ostentatious way, but to use it to convey our meaning better. Eloquence, a skill that comes of practice. It's more of a character than a skill, isn't it? It's a quality. Prudence, the ability to filter our values, filter what we're uttering and we're saying or writing through our values so that it reflects what we hold to be true and beneficial. Felicity, the ability to filter our expressions, our communications through our emotions as well, to give it a little flavor, a little seasoning of how we feel. We also want to avoid rumor and gossip, which are not good things at all. Okay, next comes temperance, the ability to control our consumption or how much we do of any particular thing and how we spend our time. The sub-principles here are suffering, because we suffer when we say no to ourselves in particular. Simplicity, because a simple life is a temperate life. And apathy, the ability to disconnect from the things that are beyond us. Not disconnect in terms of caring, but disconnect in terms of holding ourselves responsible or able to do anything about it. I'm apathetic to history. I'm interested in history, and I study it and I engage in learning more, but I'm apathetic. I can feel empathy towards people who've suffered in history, but I'm apathetic in terms of responsibility. I don't feel responsible for Joan of Arc, but I'm sympathetic to her, what she went through, just to pick an example. After temperance comes, life will not go well. Bad things happen. Things break. Days are tough. Then the next principle is the horror show. Life sometimes goes so terribly that it really constitutes horrifying levels of things, pain and suffering and discord. Then comes a principle called that which must be borne or carried. And what we have to bear is the fact of that life goes poorly sometimes, and the fact that the horror show comes for us all. Then comes the Feast of Woeful. This principle observes that we get upset and spew our upset out into the world, and that really soils things. So I try not to do that. I try to contain my upset, to utilize it up in other ways, and to not, pain others. And when others are doing the same, when they are spewing their upset into the world, I will offer my help, but I won't consume it. I won't eat it up, because we can do that. We can kind of eat it up in like a voyeuristic way, and that then poisons us. Next comes distraction and agency and the great indifference. Those are two principles that go together. Distraction is what we do with our work and our school and our sports and our hobbies and our church and our religion and our God and our families and our politics, etc., to keep ourselves busy so that we don't have to address the emptiness of the universe, a universe without God. Because if we can believe in God, then we've got someone to look after us and who's in control. And we can abide whatever creed and mandate and doctrine is associated with that God that we believe in, and our lives will be better, so we think. There's good results in some of that, but it's not necessarily true results. It's just things that, that seem to work. You can get by and have a pretty good life, with all of that. As witnessed by the fact that people have pretty good lives with all the disparate different religions that exist. So there's evidence that they can't all be right, but all the major ones seem to yield good living for various other advocates. Doesn't mean any of them are true. I don't think any of them are true. I think it's nonsense. I've been deep in the wilderness. There's nothing out there but the emptiness. So, if we're not going to distract ourselves, and we're going to encounter then, if we go out and look for it, we'll encounter the great indifference. That's the next principle. So remember, there were two: distraction and agency in the great indifference. Agency is us. We are agents, right? When you can get past the horizon of agency, the influence, the artifacts of the things that we, not just humans, but life creates, you'll have a chance to glimpse the nothing and witness that the nothing doesn't care, isn't capable of care. It is the great indifference. And that's the thing that we come back to society and need to reconcile with our lives. What are we going to do with that? For me, I chose to develop a creed. I chose to embrace my family, to build a home, to create a career, to work hard to be a virtuous man, and to live a good life, making things better for others, improving happiness and well-being in the brief time that I have, and not taking my days for granted, nor expecting that I'm going to survive another moment beyond the winking out of my life. That's the good life, or so I say. Next, and I'm pretty sure I've messed up the order here a little bit. I think that agency and the great indifference and distraction belonged a little further up. Next is a principle called the best seat in the house. A reminder to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing at all times. Now comes a series of 4 principles that go together. These are the restless man, the sense that we have as a young man or a woman that we want to have an adventure in life. It's good to listen to that and do something about it, because if you don't, it'll likely haunt you the rest of your life. 2, the next one is the path of wildness. It's the off-ramp from the staid, stable, and comfortable, familiar existence that we have now, but yet we're restless to explore beyond. It's embarking into a new life. Yumiko and I are doing that now. We're on the path now. Even though we just recently arrived within 4 months to this current life, we're getting ready. We're on the path of wildness to our new life in Japan. In fact, we're going to go there to check it out, reconnoiter and scope it out. The path of wildness is easy to find. It's the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. Or so I say in the book. 3 is the third of 4 principles here, is the great life adventure. It's what we get for our efforts of heeding, doing something about our restlessness and stepping upon the path of wildness. We can yield one or more. You can have multiple great life adventures. I've had lots. I'm about to have another huge one coming up in a few years. And then lastly, the number 4th one there is the risk of avoiding risk. It goes back to the first principle here, which is the restless man. If you are a restless man or a restless woman in your teens or your 20s, and you do something about it, well, there's some risk that you may miss out on attending to the surface level risks of life, which are education, family, career, home, and planning for old age. On the flip side, if you spend too much time focusing on education, home, family, career, family, and preparing for old age, then you may miss out on the need to have a step up on the path of wildness and have a deep dive and pull out a great life adventure. I mean, this can be a great life adventure too. It depends on your perspective. But you see my point, right? There's kind of a spectrum here. The staid and steady, or that's actually down here. The staid and steady life, and then the great life adventure life, the adventurous life, and somewhere in between is a kind of a balance where we can have both. I spent my first 3.5 decades focusing on the adventure part, and didn't have much care or concern for the stability. As a result, I got a lot of interesting, great life adventures out of it, and yielded my story of going on. But now, in the last 15 years, I've been working on the deeper stuff, or the stability in the home and the family, and getting my daughter safely into adulthood and through college, working to get her on her own, and preparing for old age. But it's a trick. I pulled that rabbit right out of the hat in the last decade. I almost missed that one. Came down to this opportunity to come back to America. If I hadn't come back to America, I probably wouldn't be able to retire. Near miss. All right, so I think I covered that enough. The next principle is called sin and damnation. The sins I don't believe in God, so I don't believe there's any gods to sin against. They don't have any law that we can sin against, but I do believe we can sin against good living. And this basically consists of being untrue, believing things for bad reasons, and engaging in nasty behaviors, the nasty behaviors of spreading rumors and gossip. There's more, but those are the big ones, right? I mean, most of us are not inherently murderers. Few of us are interested in rape or theft. I mean, those are kind of a given, but I don't think we need to remind most of us of those things. But we do have to. Most of us do tend to engage in the more pedestrian sins of talking about our coworkers and our family and our friends behind their backs, spreading rumors, believing things for bad reasons, and telling white lies. So those are the ones I focus on. And the damnation part is that we live a damned life in the here and now as a result of that. I have 8 particular items in this list of sins. These are falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things too readily; faith, belief that's founded on the desire for belief, which is nonsense; superstition, categorical nonsense; dogma, belief founded on tradition or authority; oh, I think I mixed them up a little bit. Authority is the next one. Authority. Okay. So dogma is belief based on tradition, or, for example, having a big book, the Bible, for example, or the Quran, or whatever, the Talmud. That we say, well, it's in a book; it's got to be true. Authority is belief founded on being impressed by an institution, an office, or someone who regales us with their eloquence. And then the last 2 are 7 and 8 are spreading rumors and engaging in gossip. That's 8, right? Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. Engaging in any of those things, and we are engaging in sin that leads to damnation in the here and now, right now. The next principle is called complete oblivion. After we're dead, there's nothing to follow. If there's no God, no heaven, no soul, no eternity, then after we're dead, after our consciousness is snuffed out like a candle being blown out, or the music stopping, then that's the end. And this end is forever. It'll be just like before we were born, I think. But it'll never come back. That'll be the end. We'll have no happy reunion with our loved ones. We'll never see grandmother again, or our dead children, or our dead pets. We'll never have a chance to reconcile any differences. If you never overcame that fight with Uncle Fred, you'll never have a chance to do that, who died early, and you died on bad terms. You'll never have a chance to do that again. And there'll be no final justice, because there's no afterlife, and no one to give dole the justice out. In fact, there is no absolute justice. So Hitler gets away with his sins, and Anne Frank will never be avenged. Sorry. But once that reality seems to be, sinks in, then we take action to seek after those things in the here and now, to reconcile with the ones we love, to reconnect with them, and to work towards building the just city. Next comes the bullseye aim. Is that right? No. I've got the new principle that goes here, which is the principle of script writing. Script writing is perhaps maybe it's my new toy. It's perhaps the most powerful thing I've ever discovered in my life. And I need to thank my friend Juan for kind of turning me on in this general direction. It's the ability to forecast in my brain the minutes ahead, the hours ahead, the days ahead. And in so doing, giving my mind a path to follow and an outlook to hold. Like I said earlier, I was doing that, preparing myself for shopping, visualizing myself at the South Coast Plaza and the outlet center, going through the racks, finding clothes, trying them on, modeling them, having fun with my wife, enjoying a good lunch together, and not being that stereotypical husband that doesn't want to shop. And it worked. We had a great time yesterday. And it works in spades. And I do it not only with the things that are just in front of me, but I do it with the days ahead. I do it to model my meetings at work. I even do it in the immediate moment. I'll be walking down the street and I'll be script writing measured breathing and measured steps all the way to the end of the street. I do it all the time now. Incredibly powerful tool. The next principle after script writing is the bullseye aim. It's a reminder that, like darts, we toss. In a game of darts, we don't get upset when we miss the bullseye. We expect to miss the bullseye. We get excited when we hit the bullseye. Likewise with life. Even when I'm script writing, saying that I'm going to hit the square with regard to going shopping with my wife and being nice and calm in the gap, I'm fine, even when I'm a little bit off. Recognizing that the bullseye aim suggests that I should be just glad that I didn't miss the board altogether. The next principle is the uphill climb, a reminder to climb through today to a higher elevation than yesterday so that I can look over life and see things from a greater perspective and vista. Then comes arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development and management and utilization of good objectives and principles for better living. Nothing is enough. This is my second to last principle. And it's a very simple principle that reminds me to strive to get by with less, including less food. I do fast now, intermittent fasting, and it has a world of difference. And I find that the longer I can go each day without food, the more at peace and at ease I am. It's an interesting thing. So I plan to go long today, even though my tummy's already growling. You can be fine. We'll be fine. I'll get to the beach and run on the beach and swim in the sea this morning, and that'll really do wonders. And then the last principle is the principle of fun. A reminder to enjoy my life, to have a good time today, to enjoy the memories of yesterday. Literally yesterday. I had a great time with Yumiko yesterday. And remember the deeper past. And also to plan for a fun and interesting tomorrow and the days ahead, to not just let them unfold without effort. And that's it. That's my good life creed. Wrapped up for another day. Although, just because I'm finished with this video doesn't mean I won't be utilizing these objectives and principles, or better said, utilizing these principles in the pursuit of my objectives throughout the day today. I certainly will. They will be coming to mind, like I said, utilities on the tool belt, in that principle of arena and utility. How life is the arena, and these principles are my tools, my utilities to live a better life. I'll be doing that all day today. As for today, I'll finish this. I'll upload this video. I'll feed my dogs. I'll let them out, or if they want to go, we'll go for a walk, depending on if it's raining or not. Then I will go to the beach. I'll jog on the beach. I'll I'll definitely get in the water, and then I'll come home, and I'll have a good day of preparing for Japan with my wife. We're going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to fill out the Visit Japan website information so that we'll be able to speed our way through customs quicker when we get there. Two, I will do a mock packing of my bags. And 3, for Japan, to see what I have and what I need. 3, I'll have my motorcycle sent to Lior as well, if the weather permits. I think that's about all we need to do. All right, with that, I'll stop. And I'll wish you all the best. Remember to be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done. Bye-bye.